Welcome to the last section of Unit 2. So we are going to do the application of the concept of annuity. We've learned annuity already. We are just applying it to questions, or we are making practical use of the annuity formulas and concepts that we have learned. So by the end of this section, you should be able to explain amortization, sinking fund, how to prepare amortization schedule, how to calculate sinking funds, and making an estimate to find the value of bonds, preference shares, and ordinary shares. So, what is loan amortization? So, mostly the loan amortization is prepared by the financial institutions to show the equal installments and the amount of money outstanding on the loan at each stage of the repayment. Right. So, as they are saying, the loan amortization uses the principles of an annuity since the entire cost of the loan is deferred through periodic payment of an equal amount. So some of the financial institutions, when you are going for a loan, they will tell you that they have a flexible payment plan for you. Maybe every month you are going to pay 5,000 or 500 Ghana cedis for maybe 3 years. It means they have amortized the loan. Do you get it? So the loan has been breaking down into various payment period so that it becomes flexible for the one who went for the loan. So let's try with this simple example. So this example talk about how you are going to find the equal amount of money that you are going to pay as an installment. Maybe you've gone for a loan of 5,000 cedis, and at the rate of this, how much are you going to pay every month until the maturity or until you finish paying the loan? So the amount that you are going to pay is what we are going to use this example to help us to know how to calculate for the amount. So assuming you borrowed 15,000 Ghana cedis to buy a parcel of land, the bank agreed to loan this amount to you at an interest rate of 22% for a period of 5 years. Requirement: determine the equal amount of installments that are to be paid annually. So the amount is to be paid annually over 5 years. It means you are going to have 5 equal installments. Since you have 5 years and the amount is paid annually. So let's see how to go out. Yes, so this is how to determine the amount of the installment. We use the present value of the annuity formula since you are making equal amount of payment until the loan amount is fully repaid. So we use the annuity formula here. Since you are familiar with the formula, let's see how we are going to use it. So the present value equals the amount into bracket, the 1 minus the discount factor all over the required rate. So the loan amount is the present value because the loan is given to you today and you are going to repay it at some time in the future. So that is, we are finding the amount. The A component is the one that we are finding to know the amount of installment that you are going to pay every year based on the requirements of the question. So making change of subject from this equation and making A the subject, we are going to get A equals PV over 1 minus the discount factor all over R. So let's substitute the various. We have the PV, which is the loan amount to be 15,000. The number of years given in the question is 5 years. And the required rate that was given is what? 22%. So making the substitution, we are going to get 5,238 Ghana cedis and 9 pesos as the amount of installment that is going to be paid every year. I hope we get it. Good. So this is how to prepare the amortization schedule. So the amortization schedule, it has various, but we have the number of years. So the loan was taken for 5-year period. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this column represents the number of years. We have the beginning amount. So the amount that was taken on day 1. We have the installment. The installment is the one that we've calculated for. So anytime you are preparing your amortization schedule, first of all, you have to calculate for the amount of installment that is going to be paid every year. You have to calculate for the amount of installment that is going to be paid. And we use the present value of annuity formula to find the amount of installment that is going to be paid every year. So the interest rate is here. We have the principal. So I've labeled all the column. So this side I've labeled it 1. Here 2 is 2. We have this one to be 3. Principal named 4. And the ending amount is 5. So that it will be easy for you to understand how to find the various. So how to find the interest. How to find the interest is the interest rate that is given multiplying by 1. And 1 is what? The beginning amount. So if you want to find the interest, is the beginning amount that is given multiplied by the interest rate. And the principal is the installment amount, which is 2 minus the interest rate. It will give you the principal. So the amount of installment that you are paying contains a component of the interest on the loan and the principal amount. So if you less the interest from the installment, then you get what? The principal amount. So if you want to get column 5 here, is the 1 minus 4. So 1 is the beginning amount. So the beginning amount of the loan, if you less the principal amount that you've paid from it, then you get the closing value of the loan as at the end of what? Year 1. You get it? So I hope now you understand all the variables. So year 1, the opening balance of the loan is 15,000. The installment figure that we calculated in the previous slide gave us 5,238.09. That is the installment figure. So if you want to find the interest, is the opening balance multiplied by what? 22%. So the interest rate that was given in the question is 22%. So you multiply the beginning value with the interest, then you get your interest here. So if you want to find the principal, as I said, the principal is what? 2 minus 3. So 2 is the installment figure. So this figure minus the interest on the loan. So the interest on the loan, you less from it, then you get your principal amount. So the beginning balance minus the principal amount will give you the closing figure of the loan. So the closing amount in year 1 becomes the opening amount in year 2. The closing in year 1 becomes the opening amount in year 2. Right, so it follows the same formula. You find the installment is given is the same for all the 5 years. So the installment amount is the one that you calculated for using the annuity formula. So you follow through until you get an infinitesimal figure or you get 0, because this schedule helps you to repay your loan. So at the end of the 5 years, we expect you to pay the full amount of the loan. So that this is the amount. So as you are paying, and the amount will be reducing. So at the end of the 5th year, you have to get what? 0 or infinitesimal figure. So sinking fund. This is sinking fund. So sinking fund is setting fund aside periodically for the gradual repayment of a debt or replacement of what? A wasting asset. So you setting an amount of money aside periodically. It can be daily, it can be monthly, it can be weekly. can be yearly. So you setting the amount aside for the repayment of a debt or replacement of a wasting asset. So mostly sinking fund help to soften the hardship associated with making lump sum loan payment. So example, you will be entering into the tertiary school next year and the fees that you are going to pay is very huge. So you can decide to set periodic amounts of money aside maybe every week so that at the time that your admission comes, you can get some money to pay your school fees. You don't wait for you to get admission before you'll be looking for huge sums of money. It might be difficult. So the sinking fund will help you to soften the hardship associated with what making lump sum repayment. So let's try an example on that sinking fund with example 2. Yao has started constructing his dream house. He plans that the house will reach roofing level in 3 years. So consultation with some roofing companies put the average roofing cost of his house at 45,000. So how much is he supposed to get or to set aside annually in a sinking fund to raise just enough for the roofing of his house in 3 years if the interest rate is 23% per annum? So how much is he supposed to set aside so that he can raise the amount of 45,000 in 3 years time if the interest rate is 23% per annum? So we want to find the amount that he can set aside now that will make him get the amount that he wants at the end of the 3 years. If the interest rate is what? 22 points, the 23%, sorry. So you have to find the present value of the future amount or the amount that will be needed at the year 3 or at the 3rd year. So finding the present value, we use the annuity formula 1 minus 1 over the discount factor over R. So substituting the amount figure that was given in the question is 45,000. You have the rate to be 23% and the number of years that he will roof the houses, or the year that he will roof the house is the 3rd year, so which is n equals 3. So PVA, which is the present value of annuity, is 22,372.76. It means if you want to get this 45,000 Ghana cedis in year 3 to roof the house, he will need to set aside 22,372 Ghana cedis aside today at an interest rate of 23% so that he'll be able to get 45,000 at the end of the 3rd year. How do we value bonds? So now we are looking at valuing financial assets. How to value financial assets. So a bond is a financial instrument that pays a constant periodic interest to its holders and at maturity. So both the interest and the principal or the face value of the bond are paid with the maturity. So mostly bonds are more like financial instruments or debt instruments that the government use to borrow money from the public, and other financial institutions also use to finance their project. Okay. So every bond has a market value and a face value, or a market price and a par value or the face value. So if the market price of the bond is greater than the face value, it means the bond is issued at a premium. I'm saying it again. If the market value or the market price of the bond is greater than the par value or the face value of the bond, it means the bond is issued or is said to be issued at a premium. And if the face value or if the market price is less than the face value, it means the bond is issued at a discount. So there can also be situations or instances where the face value of the bond will be equal to the market value of the bond. When that instance happens, the bond is said to have been issued at par. Par because the face value is equal to the market value. Bond can also be redeemable or irredeemable. Redeemable means that it's for a definite time period. Irredeemable means it lasts forever. I hope you understand. So where the bond is redeemable, this is how to find the present value of the bond. So the present value or the value of the bond is just the interest that is going to be accrued on the bond. We discount all the interest on the bond to the present value plus the par value or the face value of the bond. So it's like if you borrow someone's money for 3 years, at the end of the third year, it means you are going to receive interest every year, right? And at the end of the third year, you are going to receive the principal as well. So you are going to get the interest plus the principal. So when you link this to the bond, it means the interest is paid on a bond. So the interest that's accruing, the present value of the interest plus the face value or the amount of the bond will also be received on maturity. I hope you get it. So we are going to discount both the interest associated with the bond and also the principal amount. So looking at this formula, you can see we have I1. So it means where we have more than one or is maturing in some years, not only one. So the interest for year one, so interest is paid every year. So interest for year one over the discount factor. So 1 plus the cost of the debt or cost of the bond, that's 1 plus the interest for year 2. So we are discounting all the interest to their present value. So on maturity, if it's maturing in the third year, it means you are going to receive interest in the third year plus the value of the bond. That's why we have the interest here, IN here, plus the BN. BN represent the value or the face value or the par value of the bond. So simplifying this formula, we are going to have, so it looks like the annuity formula, the present value of annuity, because the interest rate is more like it's fixed. You have the fixed coupon. If the interest rate is 10%, it means every year you're going to receive 10%. So you can use the annuity formula to make it simple for you. So the annuity formula is the I here. So the I is the annual interest that you are going to receive. Then you multiply with the present value of annuity formula. Then you add the present value of the face value that you are going to receive at the end of the years. So B0 is the price of the bond, as I said. I is the interest rate. KD is the bond yield to maturity or the cost of the debt. Bond is a debt actually. And BN is the bond's par value or face value. N is the number of years. So since you have the formula and we understand it, let's try with this example. So Brian Limited issued a bond with 10 years to maturity. Let's take note of some keywords. 10 years to maturity. The bond has, so the moment they said 10 years to maturity, it means the bond is what? Redeemable. It's redeemable because it has a definite time period it will mature. Let's continue. The bond has an annual coupon rate of 5%. It has an annual coupon rate of 5%. And a similar bond has a yield to maturity of what? 8%. So this is the yield to maturity that we are going to use on a similar bond. So what is the price of the bond? So in the formula, we will need our interest. Therefore, we have to find the interest. So the interest is the interest rate on the bond. So if the par value of the bond is 100, it means the interest rate is going to be 5% of the amount. But here the amount is thousands. So mostly the bond bonds are issued in thousands. So in case in a question they don't give you the face value of the bond, we assume it to be 1,000 because in Ghana bonds are issued in thousands. Yeah. So 5% of the 1,000 is going to give you 50 Ghana cedis. So this is the interest or the coupon on the bond. So let's use the annuity formula to find the price of the bond. So from the formula we need I. I has been computed to be 50. We know our cost of debt to be 8% and the number of years to maturity is 10 years. So we multiply the 50 by the annuity formula. Then we add the face value, which is 1,000. We have to discount the face value to its present state. So 1,000 over the discount factor, which is 1 plus the 8% exponent, 10. So at the end we are going to get 798.69. So let's look at something. So at the end the price of the bond is what? 798.69, but the face value was 1,000 Ghana cedis. What's happening? Do you understand? The price of the bond is rather lesser than what? The face value. And we said that anytime that the market price or the price of the bond is lesser than the face value, it means the bond is said to be issued at what? A discount. So once you've been computed and the market price is lesser than the face value, you conclude by saying that since the bond's value is less than its face value, it is said to be issued at what? A discount. Let's try with this example. Brian Limited said issued a bond with 10 years to maturity. So the bond has an annual coupon rate of 5% and a similar bond has a yield to maturity of 5%. So this one, the coupon rate and the yield to maturity are the same. So automatically we are going to get the market value or the market price of the bond to be equal to what? The face value of the bond. Since they are having equal rate, the coupon rate is similar to the yield to maturity. Let's confirm here and see. Good. So from this solution, you can see that the price of the bond is 1,000 cedis here. The price of the bond is 1,000 cedis. And the face value of the bond too, given here, is 1,000 cedis. So it means that the bond is what? Issued at par. And this happened because the coupon rate is the same as the yield to maturity. Let's try with irredeemable bonds. So we have times that we have irredeemable bonds. So it means that the bond is issued indefinitely or the bond is issued forever. It means you are going to receive interest forever. Forever and ever. You are going to receive interest forever and ever. So where the bond is issued indefinitely or the bond is irredeemable, we use the perpetuity formula, which is the price of the bond equals the interest over the cost of the debt. So trying with this example, Quattro Limited issued a 5% perpetual bond with with the coupon rate of 10%. What is the current market price of the bond? So you have your interest rate to be 5% and the cost of the capital or the cost of the debt is 10%. So you can easily find your price of the bond. So coupon rate is 5%. So as I said, the bonds are issued in thousands. So anytime they don't give you the face value, you assume it to be 1,000 Ghana cedis. So 0.05 times the 1,000 will give us 50 Ghana cedis. It means every year you are going to receive interest of 50 Ghana cedis. We divide by the cost of debt because the bond is issued irredeemably. So the price of the bond will be 50 over 10%, which is 500 Ghana cedis. Okay, so let's see how we are going to value ordinary shares too. Now you know how to value bonds, whether it's redeemable or redeemable. And you know at the end if you get if it's issued at a discount or whether it's issued at par or whether it's issued at premium, you can interpret. Now let us look at ordinary shares. So shareholders are the true owners of a company. They are those that receive the residual interest in the firm. In the sense, in the sense that in the sense that they receive income in the distribution of earnings, and they are also the last to be paid their share capital when the company is liquidated. So they are more like last babies. You know how last babies behave, alright? Sure. So the last babies, if everyone is done eating before you can also what? Eat. So let's see how we are going to value ordinary shares. So we use the Gordon's dividend valuation model to determine the value of the ordinary shares. So price of ordinary shares. So we have the shareholders also receive dividend. Bondholders receive what? Interest. So that is why when we were doing the bond valuation, the formula was I, but share valuation is what? D. So D stands for dividend. So it follows the same format or the same principle as how we did for the bond. So you just discount the dividend that is accruing for the various years. So since dividend may not always be the same, like bondholders that they have a fixed amount of interest. So let's read the point 2 here. So since the dividend is not the same, it means that dividend will grow or remain the same in the future. So therefore, we determine the value of ordinary shares under the condition that the dividends will grow at a constant rate or at a variable rate. So using this model, we assume that zero growth model. So the zero growth model assumes that the dividend will not grow at all. From the heading, zero growth model, it means the dividend does not grow. If it does not grow, it means that the value or the dividend will be the same for all the years. It will be the same for all the years. So if the dividend or when there is zero growth model, we use the perpetuity formula, which is the price of the share will be the dividend over the cost of the equity. So let's try with this example. Kantinka Company Limited paid a dividend of 6 Ghana cedis last year. So the company does not have the intention of growing its dividend. So have you seen the keyword here? The company does not have intention of what? Growing its dividend. It means that there is zero growth in dividend. So if the cost of equity is 10%, what is the value of the stock? So since there's no growth in the dividend, it means that current dividend is the same as the previous dividend. Whatever dividend I received last year, we are going to receive the same this year, and it's going to be the same next year. There's no growth in dividend. It means the dividend is going to be, the price is going to be the dividend over the cost of equity. So the price will be 60 Ghana cedis. So the price of Kantike's share is 60 Ghana cedi per what? Share. Let's move on. Alright, we can also have constant growth model. It means that the dividend is growing at a constant rate. Example, maybe every year the dividend is going to grow by what? 2%. Do you understand? So it means that current year's dividend will be last year's dividend that we can grow last year's dividend by what? 2%. Do you get it? So previous year's dividend will not be the same as current year's dividend. and it will not be the same as future dividend because the dividend will grow at a constant rate. So if you are in year one, you can easily predict your dividend for year two because you know the growth rate is what? Constant. Okay. So where D1, so yes, as I said, so your current year's dividend is your previous year's dividend, then you add the growth rate to it. So maybe if last year you receive 100% dividend, it means this year you are going to receive 100 plus maybe 20%. If 20% is the growth rate, so it means you are going to receive 120% this year. So this is how to calculate for it. So the D1 is the current year dividend. D0, this zero here is the previous year's dividend. So if you want to find the current year's dividend, is the previous year's dividend into brackets 1 plus G. So G is what? The growth rate. This zero is the dividend before the declaration or the last year's dividend, as I said. So let's try with this example. So Azuri Limited has just paid a dividend of 2.10 Ghana cedis. This is expected to grow at 5.6%. So this is the growth rate into the future. If the cost of capital is 8.4%, what is Azuri's limited stock price? So we are finding the price of the stock or shares. If the dividend that was paid, so is it dividend just paid? You get it? So we are finding the price if it is growing at what? 5.6%. So where dividend is growing, so in our previous example, where there was no growth in dividend or there was no growth, yes, where there was no growth in dividend, the formula was D over KE. But now because there is growth in dividend, another variable has been introduced in the denominator. We have KE minus what? J. We have D1. D1 is what? If you want to find the current or the future dividend, is the previous year's or last year's dividend into bracket 1 plus J. So this is the formula. This is the formula. So once we know our growth rate, we know our previous year's dividend, which was given in the question. Now we can expand the formula to become like this. So D0 into bracket 1 plus J. So D0 into bracket 1 plus J is the same as D1. I hope you understand. Sure. So the denominator is KE minus J. So previous year's dividend is 2.1. It was given in the question into bracket 1 plus the growth rate, which is 5.6%. The cost of equity that was given is 8.4% minus the growth rate, which is 5.6%. So at the end, we are going to get 79.2 Ghana cedis as the price of the share. Good. We've done well. We've done well. I know you've learned a lot, and I hope you've also learned something. So, what was our conclusion for today's section? We concluded our study on the time value of money with the application of annuity principles to loan, amortization. So you've learned how to do your amortization, how to do your sinking fund situation, how to value bonds, and how to also find your preference shares and also ordinary shares. Try and practice whatever you've learned with the self-assessment test questions. So these questions are for you. Try your hands on it. The more you practice, the more you become perfect. Alright. I know there are plenty, but try your hands on it. Alright. Thank you. You've done so much well. Try your hands on everything that you've done today. and I will see you in the next unit. Bye bye.